Push your fucking hands now!
Stand up!
Stand up! Stand up!
Stand up now!
On June 15th, 2023, at around 4 p.m. in the 1900 block of Laurel Lindale Road, when police responded to a report of a shooting.
What's your name?
Chad.
Chad. What's your last name?
Doerman.
Gorman?
Doerman.
Chad Doerman went to the Anderson Township Kroger's Little Clinic at the behest of his mother after he reported having some confusing feelings, said Tekulve, who did not comment on what specifically Doerman told his mom. He left the clinic after less than 2 minutes without signing in or talking to staff. What happened nth day the Doerman boys were killed? Chad returned home early from work and spent the day doing yard work and playing with the kids. It was a warm Thursday afternoon. His wife made lunch, which he cryptically referred to at the time as his last good meal, according to prosecutors. Chad had his wife and their 3 boys, Clayton 7, Hunter 4, and Chase 3, join him in the master bedroom of their home on Laurel Lindale Road for a nap. Chad eventually started pacing the house carrying a Bible and mumbling, "Chad knows what's right," according to prosecutors. The boys had baseball practice the night before. Their bikes and toys sat in the yard of the single-story home on Laurel Lindale Road. He then began to get into the gun safe, which was located in the master bedroom, court filings state. His wife noticed the behavior and told Chad he was scaring her. Chad told her he was just kidding and playing around, and decided to lie down. At some point, Chad got back out of bed and got his .22 caliber Marlin rifle out of the gun safe and shot Hunter, his second son.
Trauma that this man has inflicted on his family, the community, law enforcement, first responders, and all of the rest of us who have any idea what's going on here is unspeakable. There's been a full admission in this case, Judge. The case is still new. We're still discovering facts.
His wife tried to help her son, who'd been shot, and yelled at her other 2 sons Clayton and Chase to run. She called 911 while screaming for her other children to keep running. "My husband shot my baby," she shouted to a dispatcher before the call disconnected. The couple's other kids could be heard screaming in the background. The boy's older sister, who had been watching TV in the Doerman's family room, went to the bedroom to check what the commotion was about and witnessed the shooting. She then ran after Hunter, one of her fleeing brothers, and screamed at him to keep running. The girl watched her stepfather, Chad, chase Hunter and shoot him in the head at close range. She then ran back toward her family's home and picked up her brother, Chase. They ran toward the road, but were quickly confronted by Chad Doerman, who pointed a gun at his stepdaughter and demanded she put his youngest son down. Once she put the boy down, she begged the Chad not to shoot her. She witnessed the defendant attempt to shoot the boy, however the gun misfired, and he fled to his mother, who was still trying to render help to her bleeding boys. The boy's sister kept running toward the closest fire station, telling a passerby that her father was killing everyone. Chad, seeing Chase terrified in his mother's arms as she tried to shield him while helping her other sons, he tried to take Chase out of his mother's arm, but she fought him. Chad bit his wife, and then, when she put her hand over the gun's barrel, he shot her through the thumb. She was unfortunately overpowered as she could no longer hold onto to Chase. Once the boy was out of his mother's grip, Chad shot him, killing him instantly. After the boys had died, Chad picked them up and laid their bodies next to each other in the yard. "I called and nobody came," the boy's mother frantically screamed in a second 911 call. "Their father killed them." Just before 4:30 p.m., 2 Claremont County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the Chad's home. With their guns drawn, they approached Chad, who was sitting on his front porch. Body camera footage shows the deputies at the edge of the Chad property with their guns trained on Chad, demanding he put his hands up and step toward them. He did not comply. Keeping Chad in their sight, the deputies walked up to the porch as they continued to issue commands. Then they grabbed him and pulled him away from the rifle resting at his side. "I ain't gonna hurt nobody," Chad said calmly. "I'm completely sober." The back of his shirt was stained with blood from carrying one of his sons to the front yard. First responders attempted life-saving measures on the boys, but all three were declared dead at the scene. "Tell them I did it. Take me to jail," Chad shouted while being detained in the back of a police cruiser. During a roughly 2.5-hour interview, Chad said he had been planning the executions for months, according to investigators. Prosecutors said Chad acknowledged to detectives that he had trouble sleeping because of his plan to kill his sons. Unfortunately, his statements in that interview were ruled inadmissible after a judge found the detective did not properly advise Chad of his rights and failed to stop the interview when Chad asked for a lawyer. While Chad claimed at times to remember nothing about the shooting, he told his family quite the opposite. "No, I remember everything," he told his mom in a recorded jail phone call. "All the way to all the reasons why and everything." Prosecutors say that the true motive behind the senseless killings may never come to light. Chad took the boys to a local dirt track race, fishing, and even coached third base for Clayton's baseball team in the 5 days before the killings. Chad's attorneys acknowledged the horrific acts their client committed, but said Doerman was struggling with mental illness at the time of the murder and trial and was profoundly sick. They said 2 experts who analyzed Chad believe he was seriously mentally ill at the time of the offense. Defense expert opined that Chad was suffering from bipolar disorder when he shot his sons. However, a third expert appointed by the court determined that Chad did not have a serious mental illness impairing his judgment. Mr. Chad's careful execution of the murders, coupled with statements he made to law enforcement after they arrived on scene, indicated that he appreciated the nature of what he did as well as the wrongfulness and consequences of such, Dr. Carla Dreyer wrote. Chad was never diagnosed with, treated for, or prescribed medication for any mental health condition before the shooting, prosecutors said, adding that his statements to police and others were inconsistent with those of someone suffering from delusions. "Hey, they thought Hitler was big, dude," Chad told his brother in a recorded jail phone call, referring to news coverage. "I'm matching him."
Today, the decision of whether to plead guilty or not to plead guilty is yours alone. You understand that? Yes. I'm going to review the indictment with you initially, prior to entering the plea agreement process, so that there's a clear understanding of what you were originally facing. There's a total of 21 separate charges in the indictment. Counts 1 through 9 each allege aggravated murder as an unclassified felony, and each also allege 3.
In the shocking turn of events, Chad Doerman, 33, took a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to 3 counts of aggravated murder and 2 counts of felonious assault Friday afternoon as part of the plea deal with prosecutors, who agreed to stop pursuing the death penalty in exchange for the admission.
How do you plead?
Guilty.
No father should ever even think about doing that.
Chad, I trusted you with my life. And honestly, I looked up to you more than anyone. I saw you as my dad, not just a stepdad. Because it hurts to know I will never get to experience another day with my 3 brothers, or to make any memories anymore, because their innocent lives were taken away so quickly and horribly by their own father. I was injured that day, fighting with every ounce of my body to just make it stop. I struggle every day, knowing I was not successful in doing so, and now I have to live with this and wonder what more I could have done to save them. I would do anything to push them on the swing, cover them up one more time, and hear their little ways of saying, "I love you."
He was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. Additionally, the 2 felonious assault charges carry a 16-year minimum sentence, which would be served consecutively to the life sentences. Do remember to be kind as you go about your daily activities and make good choices. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Please do well to keep up with us by subscribing to our channel, like and leave your thoughts in the comments.